Better late than never, right? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Snug Wrestling Podcast. We're going to be going over Monday Night Raw from last night, and we usually do it right after the show goes off of air, but they were in my hometown, and I cannot pass up the chance to go there live, so I got to watch Monday Night Raw last night in person, and we're going to go over the details from behind the scenes, as you can if you can call it that, because I want to talk about the dark matches and some of the stuff that went on during the show that not everyone got a chance to see. And to help me go over this episode of Monday Night Raw, Mr. Blood and Tommy, they're all here. How y'all feeling? How we doing today?
Good. Little tired just from other works and stuff, but other than that, I felt like it was a very well put together show for the most part for what they could have done post Seth Rollins' legitimate injury. We also found out that apparently he did in fact have surgery on his shoulder, according to Paul Heyman in that opening promo. I'm not sure if that's kayfabe or if that's real, but according to him, we do know that last week he did have to go see medical in Birmingham, Alabama after Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia, when they finally got back to the States after their show. And in the middle or beginning of the week last week, he had to go get a medical evaluation to determine the severity of his shoulder. And it looks like, people are going to say what they're going to say. Oh, it's a work. Oh, it's this. I don't think they would go as far as to literally strip him of the championship on air and then have a whole match determining who the new champion will be at Saturday night's main event, which we'll also get into. And then also go as far as to have Heyman say in his opening promo that he had surgery if all of this was in fact a work. Because if it is, they're undoing the last 6 months of storytelling that he's been a part of. And I don't see that. So as far as it's concerned, I think with what they had to do on the fly, knowing this information and going forward and having to pivot, as WWE likes to put it, I think the show was pretty well put together, in my opinion.
Well, we're not quite there, but thanks, Mr. Blood. Tommy, what about you?
Feeling good 2 days before my birthday at this point, so feeling super hyped for that. But overall, this was a pretty decent show compared to what they usually have.
Well, happy early birthday. Damn, everyone has having birthdays, huh? It's at fucking the end of the fucking year. And I guess everyone here, Blood, you're September, I'm September. Toxic is what?
Tox and
October
I
as well.
both are October. His was like a
2
week
weeks
ago or 2 weeks
2
ago.
weeks ago. Yeah. And Tommy, you're what, 21 now? 22?
I'm turning 22 on Thursday.
22. All right. Look
Damn,
at you.
Tommy's feeling 22, huh?
God, I missed 22.
I knew there was going to be a Taylor Swift fucking reference somewhere.
I don't know about you. My Neils feel 32.
Yeah, for real.
They click when I walk.
All right, before we get into Monday Night Raw, I want to get your thoughts on what we saw before Monday Night Raw. The people that in the arena got 2 dark matches. Usually they have a dark match one before. At least last year, they had one dark match before and one after the show. But this time, they had 2 matches before Monday Night Raw went live on Netflix. And the first one I thought was interesting. It was Los Americanos, which is one of them, Pete Dunne. The other guy, we don't know who that guy is yet. We can't figure that one out. They wrestled American Made, which was Brutus and the other guy. I can't remember his fucking name. And it was an interesting dynamic because the Americanos came out with El Grande Americano song, which immediately got a huge crowd reaction from the fans. So I kind of got a sense like Los Americanos were the baby faces here. American Made were wrestling like the heels. They were getting booed. The Americanos were getting cheered. Usually, and I want to bring this up because usually these dark matches, I get a sense like these are kind of like warm-ups to kind of test out the waters and the live audience to see how the people react to, the wrestlers in these matches. And maybe if it works out, they'll try it on their TV program live on air, for the main show. But just hearing it, Los Americanos versus American Made. What are your thoughts on this tag team match?
Well, I don't have thoughts on the match itself because we don't see the dark matches.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as it's concerned, I will say I'm a little annoyed. Because when Chad Gable originally left, he made a whole fucking promo to like backstage where he literally looked at Ivy Nile and the Creeds, and that's Julius Creed, by the way, and Brutus Creed.
Mm.
And he said, while I'm gone, you're in charge to Ivy Nile. And when I come back, I want you to all be champions. And he was making sure, like, they made such a big deal about that we got to see Ivy a couple of weeks straight after that, actually having matches and actually being involved in stuff. And the Creeds, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're off TV for quite a while at this point. And that aggravates me because it's like we're just stop starting pushes, or stop starting, storylines and momentum for people. But then on the other side, I'm annoyed because of the Los Americanos. You just had the reveal a couple weeks ago. They finally had their first match. They all have names now, and they have their own entrance music. And I'm kind of pissed off because they haven't been on TV since. So as far as it is concerned, why on earth did you go through all that trouble, have a new track made, have new gear made, new masks? They're a unit. You have them have a showing. They lost that showing, by the way, in their first night as a group, which I thought was a bad move. And they're on a pre-show. It makes them feel forgettable. It makes all 6 of these people feel forgettable. And what's also aggravating is, wind the clock back a year, Ludwig Kaiser was still a very important player in the Intercontinental Championship scene. So to see that, at first I thought, hey, with this, El Grande Americano stuff, I thought he was really getting a push. Even with a goofy character, he was making it work, and he has made it work. And I think he's a better Americano than Chad was. But the problem is, you're not featuring him, even though you've taken away what made him amazing as Ludwig, and you just randomly separate him from Gunther with no fucking story to that at all. Just, it's a silent splitting. We don't have any I'll focus on me, you focus on your career. And it's just, okay, that's it. Like, you were dying by the sword for this guy, and now we don't see you on TV for weeks, and then randomly you come back, you're a masked luchador. And now you wind the clock forward even more, and we finally get a debut of a group that he leads, and now he can't even get on TV 2 weeks in a row. So it's kind of aggravating for me, to be honest.
Yeah, my biggest issue with all of this is, don't get me wrong, I actually like American Made, but ever since Chad left, when the fuck was the last time we saw this entire faction, or at least one of them, show up on TV? It has been a hot minute since at least one of them out of the 3 showed up on TV. So that's my biggest issue, is the fact that as of recently, all that WWE has done is shove them inside of dark matches, and that's it. Even though, hey, guess what's here and still alive? Surprisingly, the fucking tag team division. Why the hell aren't you using them there? But instead, we'll get to that match later.
Well, I think because they're fairly new, these new characters of Los Americanos, I think they're trying to find their fitting in the main roster, because they're being used in dark matches, and they showed up on NXT tonight. We're recording on a Tuesday. They were on NXT. And when it comes to El Grande Americano, he's being used like in AAA, and he's going to be used on NXT because, if you guys remember, he's still the speed champion, El Grande Americano. And NXT is currently having a tournament to determine who's going to face El Grande Americano next. So it's not like these guys aren't being used. They're just not being used on the main show.
Which is where they were created in the first place, which is the problem. The vast majority of your audience only watches SmackDown and Raw. So you're telling me that if I'm supposed to care about these guys, okay, well, I need them on TV to even remember that they're characters to begin with, because not everybody watches NXT. And I got news for you and anybody who's listening. No one gives a fuck about the Speed Championship. So
No one cares
literally,
about the Speed Championship, but they care about El Grande.
they do, which is why they need to see him on TV to remember that they care. Because at this point, he might as well be on 205 Live. Or does anybody remember that? So it's like, come on, don't create new characters and then not follow up with them right after you debut them with a full group, new song, new gear, and a whole like they have names, and you've only seen them once in the last month. So it's like, why? What was the point then? And it's like, I get that they can be useful on NXT, then why not move them to NXT? If the main roster is too busy, move them to NXT.
Well, for what it's worth, with the very limited of TV time that we've seen Los Americanos on Monday Night Raw, the fans seem to really enjoy these guys, and they're taking a liking to them. At least the crowd here in Sac did. So
that's the thing. They're wildly entertaining, which is why you need to have them used consistently, because they are good. They are fun. They're very enjoyable to watch. And they have something that they have it. And as Tommy said, the tag division, we had like 18 something plus days since they said that the Judgment Day were champions, or at least between their last defense or something like that, to that nature, is what was said on Raw. If the Raw division is so shallow, why there are fucking 2 tag teams here that are in dark matches and not being featured in those divisions and stories? And the worst offender, before we move on, is American Made, who have been a team for almost a year. So it's like, come the fuck on. Why aren't they challenging in number 1 contendership matches? Why aren't they having a contendership match against AJ and Dragon Lee before we even get to the Judgment Day title match itself? Where's their presentation? How am I supposed to give a fuck about this division if no one's in the goddamn division except for like 2 fucking teams?
Which is crazy to say, because over on SmackDown, I feel like they got way too many fucking tag teams, to the point where we haven't even seen Fraxium. Like, this is tonight on NXT was the first time I saw Axiom in like fucking weeks.
Yeah, that's the problem too. Again, this is where it comes down to, before we move on, because we need to move on here. We need a fucking draft that we aren't getting, it feels like, until after Mania next year, because this entire main roster is fucking bloated, but it's also lopsided as fuck.
All right, speaking of forgotten people, you guys already mentioned her earlier. Ivy Nile was in the dark match versus Lyra Valkyrie. And Ivy Nile was rocking a new look. She no longer has her, her braids. She has a full head of hair. She, her hair is all down and wavy. Completely different look, Ivy Nile. The match itself wasn't bad, but Lyra did defeat Ivy Nile in this dark match, and I completely forgot about her, man. It was crazy to see Ivy Nile back, and I'm like thinking, holy shit, like she just completely disappeared off the face of the earth. But I thought it was really cool to see her here. Thoughts on this, fellas?
I'll keep it quick so we can get to the main card. I've been a fan of Ivy Nile since NXT. When I first heard about her during COVID, I paid attention to her career for quite a while when she came up. I thought she had a unique look, the whole Pitbull thing, the way that she did her entrance, where she would do like planking on the turnbuckles with her chain around her neck. I thought, man, she is small, but what a look. What a great physique. And she picked up very fast. And I think that she's extremely underrated in the way that, in my opinion, Zoe Stark is extremely underrated.
So my biggest issue here is the same issue I had with the tag match, which is American Made as a whole. Why are they not being shown at all? Especially when it comes to what's currently happening on the women's side with both the Intercontinental title and the World title. Did Ivy have issues with Stephanie Vaqueros at one point? So why in the world isn't she being shown to at least have a face-off with her backstage or something with Stephanie Vaqueros? Like, why is that not happening?
I'll tell you why. Because she's not a Bella. She's not a horsewoman. She's not involved with the Judgment Day, and she isn't a returning legend of some kind. So to them, there's no place for her, because think of everything I just said. Think of the entire women's division on Raw. You have Becky Lynch, Bayley, horsewoman, returning legends, AJ Lee, Becky Lynch. You have people involved with Bayley and Becky Lynch. So then that means Stephanie Vaquer, or not, sorry, that means tall and blonde Maxine Dupree. Then you also have freaking Lyra Valkyria, Bayley. You have Io Sky. You've got Rhea Ripley. You've got Asuka and Kairi. They're all in their own stories, and they're all mixed in with each other and have history. There is no individual place to just insert Ivy in, because they have booked the women's division in such a claustrophobic way that only these people interact with each other and only these people's stories cross over. Ivy is the fish out of water.
She's not a household name like some of those other names.
And here's the thing. And yet, though I love her to death, Maxine Dupree has had 2 matches against Becky Lynch and has 2 wins over Becky Lynch in the last month. Yet Ivy Nile can't even get on TV to have a match against Raquel Rodriguez or Roxanne Perez. You know why? Because they've been running the same fucking matches with all of these women I just mentioned in some fucking form or fashion over and over and over again for 2 straight months. All these women have had the exact same kind of matches every single week in a row in some combination. It took us 8 weeks to finally get like a tag match between just Bayley and Lyra versus Raquel and Roxanne last week. 8 weeks to get to that point. And they had interchanged matches against each other gajillion times in between. Yet somehow they can't find a way to book Ivy on the main roster, even though the parting words from Chad were to tell her to capture women's gold. And they can't even capitalize on the very words they had Chad Gable say to her.
All right, let's get into the main show, y'all. And with everything that was happening, with the dark matches, we already had pyro. We already had, the music blasting. The crowd was loud. They were all hyped. The fucking audio in the arena sucks so bad. We couldn't hear half of the stuff that they were saying in the video packages and in these promos. Like, we were having trouble, and by we, I mean me and the people that were sitting around me were all looking at each other like, what did you say? We couldn't hear what they were saying. It was weird. It was like a weird echo going on in the arena, or they didn't like set up the sound properly, or something was off with the audio in the arena and we couldn't hear anything. So I'm going to need your help to tell me what was said in this opening promo segment with Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman. I was expecting to see Seth Rollins, even though he was injured. There were some reports that Seth Rollins was going to show up and, address the injury. That didn't happen. Instead, Braun Breaker showed up carrying Seth Rollins' championship like he was a champion. And, I can get used to seeing that picture right there. And I understood when they made the announcement that Seth Rollins is going to get stripped. We're going to have a battle royal to determine who's going to face CM Punk at Saturday night's main event. I got that part, but there was a lot of things that were said here that I couldn't quite understand. I couldn't hear. The other thing too, with these audio issues and everything that was happening, when Braun Breaker grabbed the mic, it made me look at Braun Breaker's promos in a different perspective. He still has a long way to go. I feel like he just didn't sound like the badass. He doesn't sound like what he looks like. He looks like a badass. He looks like a threat. And then when he grabs the mic, he just doesn't sound like what he looks like, if that makes sense. But What happened in this promo, and what did you guys think about it?
So in this, well, first off, I'm not surprised Seth didn't show up, because if he did in fact actually have surgery, as what was mentioned in this promo by Paul Heyman, he's probably not cleared to fly because he lives in Davenport, Iowa. But as far as it's concerned, like, the promo was basically structured as a circle jerk for the Vision. How, Paul Heyman never, ever actually planned on backing Seth. He never backed him. When he turned on his best friend, CM Punk, and his tribal chief Roman Reigns at Mania, it was not to help Seth. It was because he knew that Seth wasn't the main event, that his goal ultimately was always Braun Breaker, and that Seth was a means to an end. And that Seth was a bum shoulder bitch, because as far as it was concerned, he only saw Seth as the past. He's not a visionary. He's not a revolutionary. He's not an architect. And he said he's also not the main event. Braun Breaker is. And Bronson Reed, he knew, was the new tribal chief. He knew that only one man had what it took to lay out and beat Roman Reigns, and it was this man right here. So last week, they went into business for themselves. They went behind the back. They basically got together and decided that they were going to make this decision. And in the moment, Paul Heyman pleaded for for mercy for Seth, but then quickly realized that he needed to hitch his wagon to the stars that he believed were the future of the company, and that was the two other men in the ring. Then you're talking about Adam Pearce coming out and stating that he needs the championship back from Braun Breaker. And Braun plays mind games with him and says, "Oh, show me some respect. Respectfully, give me the title back. Say, please give me the title back." And then he finally does. And I do agree with you that though I like Braun Breaker, his intensity and everything, he's a lot like Brock Lesnar. Explosive, freakishly talented. The moment they open their mics and you hear the sound of their voice, you're immediately unintimidated.
Yeah.
Because when Braun Breaker speaks, he's got a higher pitched voice. It's not deep. It's not like high, but it's not deep. It's not like, "My name's Braun Breaker and I'm going to destroy you." It's, "My name's Braun Breaker and I'm the future of this division and I'm going to kick your ass. And it's like, okay. It's the same thing with Brock Lesnar. Big burly guy. Suplex City, bitch. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's like,
that's what it was.
If you were to square up to me in real life, I'd be like, okay, motherfucker's probably going to kick my ass, but I'm going to do everything. I'm going to bite him. I'm going to gouge his eyes out, whatever. The moment he opened his mouth to threaten me, I'm going to go, "I'm sorry, what? Say that again?" Like, there's got to be a better way that Braun over time will learn to present himself on the mic, but that he's newer to this. He's only been in it for a handful of years. That comes with time, and age will deepen his voice anyway. He's not even 30 yet, but like at the same time, I think someone in the back who's producing his promos and segments, or even Paul, just needs to pull him aside and go, "Hey, you're great, but slow down your words so you can deepen your inflections, because you don't sound intimidating. You sound like a guy that's hyped up for the weekend and is like trying to see if I want to go out to the bar. Like, you want to go out and get some drinks? Come on, let's go." Like, I need the intensity the sound of intensity to come out of you, not just the "show me some respect."
Yeah.
But other than that, segment was fine. It served its purpose, where we find out that this is what the future of WWE's Monday Night Raw is going to look like. And Paul Heyman ended the segment by making sure not to say Monday Night Rollins. Instead, he said, "And by the way, welcome to Monday Night Raw." And then he dropped the mic to make sure that it wasn't Rollins. And that was the segment. I thought it was serviceable, fine to set up the future direction for their group, while also stating the reason they turned on Seth, but not in the fullest detail I felt like they should. They needed to explain more to me. Like, I needed to hear it was because Seth said he didn't need them. It wasn't just because of Seth's shoulder. I needed a better reason. Like, I thought the perfect reason before I passed it to Tommy would have been if they had said, and he beat Cody Rhodes, but he had to cheat to do it. That is not an architect or a visionary. That is a bitch. Because you know who's never had to cheat to beat anybody? Braun Breaker is what I thought he should have done. Comparing the fact that Seth only won because he cheated and that Braun doesn't need to cheat to win because he's that damn good is what I felt like would have been the better direction of that promo to really solidify the reason their doubts in Seth were deliberately certified.
Yeah, I can't help but agree when it comes to Braun Breaker and his promos. I love Braun. I watched Braun when he was on NXT. He was great then because the promo levels are lower than what they are on the main roster. So I feel like he was pulled up mainly for his character work and his in-ring ability and not much for his promo ability. Because as Blood said, he's got the physique, but the voice is not fitting at all, unfortunately. But this whole thing involving this promo, I honestly thought it was a great way for them to announce, hey, Seth has relinquished the title. He is no longer champion. So our main event will be a battle royal to see who goes head to head with CM Punk. I felt like this promo was a great way to basically say that without fully saying it. Because he announced the battle royal there, but this whole thing on that, it fully, like, he didn't fully say it because Braun came out and had to fucking bring that title out, in which honestly I wouldn't mind seeing him as champion either.
All right, and we had an opening tag team match, and what a way to kick off this fucking show with this, you know, this opening match. It was for the tag team champions, the Judgment Day versus Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, and man, we were eating this up. The fucking people were throwing the babies in the air during this whole entire fucking tag team match. I couldn't remember the last time the Judgment Day defended these titles, and you know, they've been building up for the past couple of weeks, AJ and Dragon Lee, and it wasn't until Dominic Mysterio, quote unquote, opened his big mouth that Adam Pearce was like, you're right. The Judgment Day should defend their tag team champions, and they're going to defend versus Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, a.k.a. their tag team name, AJ Lee. No, I'm kidding, but for real, this match was fucking amazing. I mean, there was like 3 hot tags in this bitch, which I love a good hot tag. And we got new champions. Dragon Lee, AJ Styles got the gold. AJ Styles got the tag team championships one last time before his retirement, which should be coming up here probably in the next year or so. So that was a really good feel moment. And also for me personally, seeing Dragon Lee win main roster gold for the first time with none other, who better than AJ Styles? That right there, to me, I thought was really fucking like amazing for Dragon Lee. He can say, I'm pretty sure this is his first main roster championship, and he did it with the phenomenal one AJ Styles, man. Like, I was so happy. I was so happy about the match, the outcome, everything about this. I absolutely loved.
I absolutely loved the match. Thought, what a fucking way to start Raw. This match was insane. It was great. It was fun. Some great near falls there. Especially when you had AJ Styles get dropped on his head with, I believe, a brain buster, and then coup de grace to follow up, and then Dragon Lee running in to save it, and then jumping, clearing JD McDonough's head to break up the pin was a great near fall. But it also makes me mad because we have not gotten enough defense from the Judgment Day. It makes me mad because you see a match this fucking good. You see just how good JD McDonough and Finn Balor are together, how well they work together, how great their matches actually are when they are given time and are like, it's like a real legit high stakes match. And then you remember, why don't we get this all the time? Because they're never defending those championships. And you're like, that's fucking stupid, because they actually are a great tag team when they're actually tag teaming. Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, I love it. Though I will say 2025, not where I saw AJ Styles, his career in this position in 2025, when you're talking about that, like a year ago, he was, a heel vying for Cody's Undisputed Championship in 2 back-to-back pay-per-view matches as a heel in the main event scene on SmackDown. And so a year later, he's on Raw in a mid-card tag division, and his tag partner is someone that WWE spent the last 3 fucking years fumbling and not shutting up, telling us that he's the next Rey Mysterio, but not actually putting their money where their mouth is and allowing him to prove it to us. It's also weird to see Dragon Lee a tag champion, because I genuinely, when I picture Dragon Lee and what Dragon Lee represents to me, the first title I first envision him winning is the US Championship. Because to me, the Intercontinental Championship is the workhorse title, the one for technicians and, the Gunthers, the Shawn Michaels, the Seth Rollins of the world, the Sami Zayns, those guys. When I look at Dragon Lee, phenomenal wrestler, but he's a high flyer sports entertainer more than that wrestling technical side of professional wrestling. And so for me, when I see his style, the way he wrestles, I immediately picture him as a US champion. I would never in my mind think, oh, Rey Mysterio is an IC champion. No, when I think of Rey Mysterio, I think US champion. But I'm happy that he got main roster gold. Well-deserved, long-awaited, overdue for the amount of fucking, pomp and circumstance they consistently put behind this man for 3.5 years and did nothing with it. He should have been a champion 2 years ago. So I'm extremely happy that he got this moment with AJ Styles. AJ gets to be a champion at least one more time before he retires. So, and the match was also a fucking outright banger. So it ticked all the boxes it should have.
So I just looked it up, and this is how their tag titles reign has gone. They got the titles June 30th. Their first defense and their last defense was July 28th. Then they went all this time until this week without a fucking defense.
So that's what it was when they said it had been 118 something days since they had actually defended. Okay.
It had been 3 months. Yeah. But this match, I absolutely loved. It showed off AJ Styles' strengths. It definitely showed off Dragon Lee's strengths as well. So here's the question that needs to be asked now. Now that they are the tag team champions, AJ Styles himself has even put this question out on Twitter. What shall be their tag team name now that they are champion? So they're going to need one since they are collectively tag team champions now, which honestly, I am so damn happy for. I wasn't expecting AJ to have a tag title reign within his last year and a half, since he did say that 2026 will be his last, unfortunately. But hey, at least he's got another title reign.
I think the better question is, well, we just got done talking about how there's no teams on on Monday Night Raw. I think the better question is, who's going to step up and take it from them?
That's exactly what I thought. And fucking watch. They bitch to Adam Pearce and get a rematch, because that rematch clause is fucking useless. And so watch them get a rematch. I swear to God, I literally on one hand cannot count the tag teams on Monday Night Raw. And not just because I can't fucking remember who the fuck is a team, but because I genuinely don't think they even have 5 teams. AJ Dragon Lee, Judgment Day, Los Americanos, which is a stable, not a tag team, and then Judgment Day, which is a stable that only 2 guys in that tag team actually defend shit. I can't think of
anyone.
it.
We just talked about him at the beginning. American Made.
Oh, American Made. Sorry. Okay. The forgettable ones, like we had already said, but I'm not even counting Los Americanos in that, because that's a 3-man stable unless they're defending under Freebird rules. Oh, the New Day.
Yeah. Oh God, no, we don't need that again.
Oh, we're gonna get it. Watch them bitch and moan for it. Watch them bitch and moan for it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope whoever it is, I hope it means something, because this could be the final time AJ Styles as a tag team champion. So I assume that they'll make it really special, and AJ Styles is going to want to go out putting over someone and make it meaningful, at least that's what I'm hoping for.
Let him have a really nice reign. I say let them hold the tag titles for a few months. I have a weird feeling at the point where we are now. I'm starting to think that maybe AJ's last opponent is going to be Dragon Lee. It just feels that way. Why put him in a tag match unless it serves the purpose of getting Dragon Lee over, who is much younger than him and an up and coming star, and you protect Dragon Lee on the rise up in a tag team while he learns with AJ how to cut better promos, wrestle better style, and get all of his nooks and crannies filled in. And then eventually maybe Dragon Lee turns on AJ, or AJ turns on Dragon Lee when they lose the titles, and maybe that leads to his final match. And I think maybe Dragon Lee is the one that retires AJ Styles.
Could be. I'd be down to see that. Yeah, so far, man, we're feeling good in the show, man. It's been one hell of an opening match and all that good stuff. I was doing a little partying before the show, but I wasn't buying any drinks at the arena because I'm not spending fucking $20 on a single goddamn drink there. But if I had to pick something to drink during the show, it'll probably be something a little bit different, right, Mr. Blood? You got any ideas?
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're looking for a new way to relax without the alcohol or the sugar crash, check out Shimmer Wood Beverages. Their award-winning CBD-infused seltzers blend full-spectrum CBD with local Maine fruit and cocktail bitters for clean, bold flavor and a calming vibe that actually lasts. Each can has 5 milligrams of full-spectrum CBD, perfect for easing tension and promoting that balanced, stress-free focus without any intoxicating effects. And the flavors are wild. Raz lime, chai cherry, ginger orange, and just hemp, all crafted without added sugar, caffeine, or artificial ingredients. Whether you're winding down at home or mixing up a mocktail, it's a smooth, natural way to stay chill and refreshed. Because you listen to Snug Wrestling, you get an exclusive 30% off any order at shimmerwood.com. Just use the code SNUG at checkout. Full transparency, when you use that code, we earn a small commission, but it helps keep the show going forever, so you get the best deal they offer. So hit up shimmerwood.com and grab your calm in a can.
That's 30% off with promo code SNUG, SNUG. All right, y'all, let's get back to it. Dominic Mysterio was in the building, the Mega Intercontinental Champion, the Dirty Dominic himself. And man, this guy is loved here in Sacramento. And I don't know about you guys. Did they televise the promo that Dominic Mysterio cut before the match? Did you guys see it? No? Okay. Dominic Mysterio cut a promo before the match, and it was a babyface promo, y'all. Dominic Mysterio, I think it's safe to say Dominic Mysterio is no longer a heel. Yes, he cheats, but the people love it. And just the stuff that he was saying, he came out to a big pop, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay your double champion. And even if that means cheating, anything, he's going to do anything it takes to remain your double. That felt like a super babyface promo to me if I've ever heard one. So I thought that was really interesting, and he defended versus the big bad evil heel Rusev, who was clearly not the favorite in this match. It was Dominic Mysterio fighting from underneath the whole time, really getting the fans behind him. Even when Dom was down, the fans were trying to cheer him on to fight back versus, Rusev. Dom was the babyface through and throughout this whole entire thing. Up until Penta showed up halfway through the match or at the end of the match. And it was kind of like, hey, it's Penta. Oh, no, he's here to screw Dom. The people didn't like that. So it was kind of like bittersweet seeing Penta show up in this match. And fucking Dominic Mysterio, even though Penta tried to interfere to not help Rusev, but kind of cost Dominic Mysterio the match, Dominic Mysterio took advantage, and he outsmarted both Rusev and Penta. He came out the winner in this match again. And Dominic Mysterio kept his promise. He's still our double champion. But also another great, enjoyable championship match back-to-back here, y'all.
Yeah, it was, the match itself was okay. It was decent. I don't really get overly invested in Rusev matches. They don't really capture my attention the way that I think WWE is hoping they will. And again, I keep saying this, it's because you guys aren't utilizing the best thing that ever came out of Rusev, which was Rusev Day. He's just not working the way that he is currently right now. He's easy to hate, but he's also easy to ignore and not get a lot of reaction. And that's not what you want. You want them to make noise for him. So turn him face and bring back Rusev Day. I disagree that Dominic is a babyface, though I do agree that if anybody is to become a babyface out of the Judgment Day, it is 100% Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. When it comes down to it, Dom is going to be the babyface. He's going to be the reincarnated Eddie, the babyface that still lies, still cheats, and still steals. And because the way he does it is so entertaining, the fans will not turn on him. When it comes down to Penta interfering, Penta did not interfere to cost Dom the match. Penta interfered to stop Dom from trying to take his titles and leave the match because he was going to take a count out and run away with his championships because he had them both in hand and tried to leave through the crowd. Penta popped up in the timekeeper's area, startled him, and then Rusev came out of nowhere and yeeted Dominic Mysterio straight into Penta, where they knock into the announcer table or the timekeeper's station. And then that is in the confusion where Dominic takes the ring bell hammer, stuffs it back into his boot like he did the last time he had a title match against Penta, and basically tricks Rusev, tries it at 619. Rusev catches it, takes the hammer out, looks at the ref, and it's like going to nail him with it. The ref grabs it. No. And then low blows Rusev while the ref is getting rid of the hammer. Smart way to retain. Again, match was fine, but I do think that the love and appreciation Dom is getting is not only well-deserved, it is perfect. Because if you want to heel, you want a cool heel. You want a heel that you want to cheer for sometimes. It's okay to be, it is okay to be sleazy and still be beloved. I don't even think they'll ever have to turn Dom face. I think if he's a heel that they just fall in love with doing horrible things, the entertainment factor is what matters, not whether he's a good guy or a bad guy.
I honestly kind of feel like he's a tweener at times with the way he talks. So, he acts like a heel. I mean, the man is in a fucking heel faction. Of course, he's going to act like a heel. But the way he talks definitely makes me think more like tweener based. But this match, it's a Rusev match. Dom did absolutely do what he could with this match, but unfortunately, as Blood said, Rusev is just Rusev. Nobody gives a shit about him right now, at all. And that is really sad to say, knowing how big of pops this man was getting back when he was doing the whole Rusev Day gimmick. Like, this man was getting massive pops during that. But unfortunately, it was a Rusev match. Like I said, Dom did what he could, which honestly, this match was better than it should have been for me. But Dom was definitely the MVP of this match for damn sure, because Rusev himself was
Well, I got a lot of Dom got a lot of sympathy from the fans in the arena tonight. So I'm telling you, man, it felt like he was more of a babyface on this episode of Monday Night Raw. But you're right, Tommy. I think you hit it more on the head with that one. I think he's more like of a tweener now, at least. But all right, moving on. Maxine Dupree got another shot at Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Champion, and she was introduced as from Sacramento, California, which got a huge pop for Maxine Dupree. And I'm sure this match looked a lot better on TV, because there's ways to make these things look better with the right camera angles, the right lighting, the right timing, because in person, this was rough to watch, y'all. Like, god damn it, man. Like, oh my god, I feel so bad. You know it's bad when Jessica Carr is like the most intimidating person in that ring. Jessica Carr can look like she could beat up and fucking stretch Becky Lynch and put her out in like seconds. Same thing with Maxine Dupree. I was rooting for Jessica Carr in this match, especially after everything that happened, in their previous match where Jessica Carr counted out Becky Lynch faster than usual. I was like, yeah, I just want to see Jessica Carr beat up Becky Lynch. That's what I want to see. But Becky Lynch disqualified herself, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really remember. That tells you how much I gave a shit about this match. But what did you guys think?
I think you're a salty spittoon who was sitting halfway up in the rafters and wears glasses and just doesn't see too well. This match was actually a lot of fun. Again, Maxine's, I believe at this point now, third showing against Becky. Now, is this her third match against Becky, I believe now? Total.
3 too many, if you ask me.
And Maxine, in my opinion, I don't think it was better than her last one. Her last one where she won by countout. That match was fucking fun. And the crowd loved that match. I think that this is a continuing factor of she continues to get better little by little. Becky is also making sure she looks like $1,000,000. And I thought the selling was great. The crowd loves her. And here's the thing. People got to remember something about wrestling. Do you guys, what is the old adage? What is almost the least important thing about wrestling? Can either of you tell me? Wrestling. In professional wrestling, they will tell you that the least important part about wrestling.
Who told you that, Blood?
The people who trained me.
Yeah, who's that? Call them out. I want to know their name, because I'm going to send them an email, a really mean one, because that's bullshit.
Look, the reason they say the least important part about professional wrestling is the wrestling is because the most important part about professional wrestling is the storytelling. And when it comes down to it, a story was told great. Maxine, again, the underdog against the monster heel, trying to prove that she can hang, that she belongs there. Though she is green, though she is a rookie, she is working her ass off to prove that she has what it takes, even if she can't win, to take Becky to her limit. And she has done that twice now, where Becky has just fucked herself on purpose or on accident. The first time they fought, Becky was spending so much time pandering to the audience and trying to get heat on herself. She lost by countout because she didn't take Maxine seriously enough, even though Maxine was kicking her ass. And then this time, she was so sick and tired of Maxine actually beating her and getting the better of her in this match, she title smacked her because she got so sick and tired of getting shown up by Maxine. I don't think Maxine needs to be a champion yet, but I do love that they are giving her the opportunity to go out there and sink or swim moments and just try to get the best she can by being thrown in the deep end. And sometimes that's the best way that these rookies learn how to hone their craft. Deep end championship match against a fucking future Hall of Famer and a fucking 4-horsewoman and the biggest star behind Rhea, basically, but the biggest star the women's division has on Monday Night Raw, if you're talking about box office appeal here, in Becky Lynch. And I think it's also smart that Becky takes the heel way out, because it means Becky gets to be champion, she gets heel heat on her, and it protects Maxine in defeat because Maxine was still given a very strong showing. She doesn't just get beaten clean. But also, this means, guess what? Maxine now has 2 on-the-books wins against that future Hall of Famer, biggest star in the women's division, and current women's Intercontinental Champion and former horsewoman, Becky Lynch. And that's what the record books are going to show.
Yep. But once again, Maxine has proven that when it comes to Becky, she absolutely has been taking this whole thing completely seriously. You want to know who hasn't been taking this seriously and has instead just made excuses all the damn time?
Me?
Becky.
Oh.
Becky, Snug. Becky.
No,
Her
I don't blame
over
her. I wouldn't
here-
take this serious either if I was her.
Well, when she's over here going on the socials and just going, hey, Maxine should have been disqualified because of her nails. Her nails are an illegal object. Becky, shut the hell up. Please. Stop making excuses on how in the world you're over here just title smacking Maxine in the back of the head, all because of the fact that you are too sour to admit that Maxine took your ass to your limits twice. Now,
Hell, Maxine might have her number. And don't forget, Becky made that excuse about her nails on social media being illegal. Let's not forget that Becky put her hands on the ref in both of these last matches and should have got DQ'd and didn't.
yeah. So Becky has no room to fucking talk whatsoever. So my biggest thing on this match is Becky, seriously stop making excuses because it's only making you worse.
All right. Moving on to the next match, Stephanie Vaquer versus Roxanne Perez. And the fans are really happy to see La Primera Stephanie Vaquer. And I was too. I'm like, okay, this is my first time seeing La Primera wrestle in person. Okay, Roxanne Perez, she's been kind of growing on me lately, you know. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to pay attention to this match. And then they're doing their entrances. And the music is playing. And I'm waiting there, waiting for the fucking match to start. And they're still posing. And they're still doing their entrances. And then the lights turn off. And then the video package with Paul Heyman and Becky Lynch plays, which felt like it took forever. And the entire time the video package was playing, that we couldn't hear, by the way, because the audio was fucking shit in that arena. Stephanie Vaquer and Roxanne Perez were standing in the middle of the ring in the dark for like 10 fucking minutes until this whole video package thing went. First of all, before I get into the match, can someone tell me what was said in this video package, please?
I'll sum it up so we can move on for the sake of time. Becky Lynch basically corners Paul Heyman outside of the locker room and tells him that, or she doesn't say anything for the longest time. She lets him dig his own grave while he makes excuses for why they turned on Seth and what happened and all this other crap. She calls him, and then he tries to offer her. He goes, well, you're the breadwinner now. And though there might not be a spot in the vision for your husband, there is a spot open for you. And she basically tells him, your snake oil salesman bullshit doesn't work on me. And that she said, and don't worry, Seth knew you were going to betray him. He never trusted you. In fact, he was surprised it took you as long as it did to turn on him. He thought you were going to do it sooner, and so did I. And I told him I never liked you. I never will like you. And he told me from the jump he never liked you either. And he's not going to hurt you. Don't worry. And I'm not going to hurt you. There's no point in hurting you. You know how he's going to get revenge? He's going to destroy Braun Breaker. He's going to destroy Bronson Reed when he gets back. And then you'll be alone and have nothing and no one to hitch your wagon to. And you'll have no way to do your job and support your family. And then, and only then, you're going to wish that he killed you. And then she walked off.
Seth Rollins literally kissed Paul Heyman last week on the fucking forehead.
Exactly what I thought. The whole promo made sense up until she was saying that he never trusted Paul. He never liked Paul. He spent one opening segment glazing Paul Heyman. And then the backstage segment that they had, he glazed him again. I'm like, really? For a guy you don't like and never trusted, you sure the fuck are putting him over, aren't you?
Yeah, so dumb. All right, let's go on to the match. Finally, the bell rang between Stephanie Vaquer and Roxanne Perez. And I don't know if it was because this match took so long to get started and the audio was shit. Did I mention the audio was shit? The audio was shit in the arena. No one gave a fuck about this match between Stephanie Vaquer and Roxanne Perez. It was dead fucking silent throughout this whole entire thing. All right. The fans didn't really get with it until Nikki Bella's music hit. And I'm like, okay, if you're having a match and the only thing people care about is Nikki Bella coming out, there's a problem here. Okay. I'm getting worried about this is how they're going to treat Stephanie Vaquer's title run, getting her involved with Nikki Bella and having these matches that are just like, just random filler matches. No, I mean, I know it's just the beginning. We're just getting started, okay? But it's off to a rough start. I'm just saying. What did you guys think?
I mean, Nikki Bella makes sense as much as I hate it. She makes sense because they've already set up Nikki Bella standing up for Stephanie on her behalf several times and even standing up to Asuka several times on Stephanie's behalf, standing up to the Judgment Day on her behalf. So it's not like Nikki hasn't been a part of this story. She's just hasn't been around week to week for her continued portion of it to really be explained more thoroughly. But she has been in several segments with Stephanie and Rhea where they're congratulating her on, winning her spot to, become the champion and then congratulating her when she became champion. So Nikki's been around for it. The thing I don't give a shit about in this match is Roxanne. I don't think the crowd was dead because of Stephanie. I think they were dead because Roxanne. Roxanne, if you look at any of the matches she's been in, her and Raquel versus Lyra and Bailey in any combination, they never react for Roxanne. In fact, it's always Bailey or it's Lyra they react for. It's barely ever Raquel either. I just think that the audience doesn't like the fact that Roxanne is the stand-in for Liv. And I think the audience wants Liv and Raquel together more than they like seeing Roxanne and Raquel together. And they just don't care enough about Roxanne. Because also WWE has dropped a lot of the story where Roxanne was trying to kind of seduce Dom, and they just dropped that out of nowhere. The fans did care about what Roxanne was doing and saying when that story was taking place. They've since cut a lot of that away, and we don't see that anymore. In fact, her and Dom barely interact anymore in these segments. It's been Dom just interacting with JD and Finn and them being pissed at him more often than not. And it's just come down to, well, Roxanne and Raquel are fighting these other two people. And it's been that way for 8 weeks, and people have lost their patience, and they see that Liv is back on WWE tours and announcements and stuff, and they're like, well, when is she back? Because they're getting bored with the holding pattern WWE is in, waiting for Liv to get cleared, so they can continuing the finishing of that story of Roxanne stealing her spot out of the Judgment Day like she stole it from, or like Liv stole it from Rhea. and they're tired of waiting. And the problem is, if the rumors are true and she's not going to be cleared until Rumble season, it's only going to get dragged out and more boring from here. And the truth is, I don't see how they're breaking up the Judgment Day without Liv being cleared, because Liv is a driving factor of that story and needs to be involved in the destruction of the Judgment Day. She needs to be a part of it for it to have a full real payoff where the Judgment Day is actually over after 4 fucking years and 3 iterations. Liv needs to be a part of it. And I think a huge, massive part of that is when Liv comes back and Raquel officially fully turns on Liv in favor of Roxanne. That's when Liv's going to go and get Rhea and beg Rhea for forgiveness and help. And Rhea and Liv are going to take on Roxanne and Raquel. And I think that's where this story is leading. But until then, the fans are tired of waiting. But unfortunately, they're going to have to if the story's going to have a payoff.
So it was the middle of this match when I realized something. The only one in the Judgment Day that actually still holds gold now is Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, I know. It took me a little bit to fucking realize that shit. But this is how I look at this. I have this feeling like, unfortunately, this is going to drag on more until Rumble season. As soon as Liv comes back, she's going to be pissed because Roxanne's there. And then realize, wait, I told y'all to keep gold in the clubhouse. Why is Dom the only one here holding that down? So I think that is how inevitably this sucker is going to break off when Liv suddenly realizes that, and all hell breaks loose from there. But this match, I completely agree that at this point, it's not La Primera herself that the crowd does not care about. It's absolutely Roxanne Perez. Unfortunately, she was great and she was hot while she was on NXT. Unfortunately, just like with Braun, the moment she's pulled up to the main roster, something in her drops. And Braun has that same issue when it comes to his promos.
All right, before we get into the main event, which was the Battle Royal, I think it's interesting to point out that El Grande Americano did one of those commercial break interviews with the Americanos standing next to him. And the reason I point this out is because the Americanos were on NXT tonight. So overnight, they were on Monday Night Raw and they flew across the country to Orlando. Or maybe they just put the same mask on some other guys. I don't know. But I thought that was really funny. And the Battle Royal, we had a lot of interesting names. And this is the number 1 contender to determine who gets to face CM Punk at Saturday night's main event to crown the new World Heavyweight Champion now that Seth Rollins was stripped. And there was no Bronson Reed. There was no Braun Breaker. I thought for sure this was a way to put the belt on Braun Breaker, but they were not in this Battle Royal. There was a lot of interesting names, like LA Knight was one of the favorites. Dominic Mysterio was another one. Jimmy and Jey Uso, who came out together, which I thought was weird because this is a Battle Royal, not a tag team match. It's every man for himself. Who else did we have in here? I think those were like, I would even put Penta up there as being one of the favorites to win it. You know, why not? Penta has been doing great things. So a lot of big names, and CM Punk was also here to watch this match closely. Who, you want to talk about a wrestler that has aura? CM Punk has fucking aura, bro. When he walked out, oh my God, bro, I got chills, dude. That whole fucking place exploded for CM Punk. And this is just no relation to like Chicago or like we're in Sacramento, okay? They fucking went crazy for CM Punk, dude. I thought that was amazing. Oh yeah, AJ Styles was also in here, which that was also a favorite to win it. But I think it's safe to say the people in SAC really wanted to see Dominic Mysterio win this one. CM Punk versus Dominic Mysterio at Saturday night's main event. I thought that would have been lovely, but it was Jey Uso. And the way that this all went down was pretty crazy. Jey Uso accidentally, maybe not, eliminated both his brother and I forgot who the other guy was. Was it AJ Styles?
LA.
LA Knight at the same time. Thank you. And Jey Uso and Dominic Mysterio were the last two. And the people were going crazy for this, okay? Like the way that this all unfolded was fucking insane. And I absolutely loved it. I gotta be honest, I don't hate the fact that Jey Uso won it like most people did. But I was rooting for Dominic Mysterio to win this one. But it was Jey Uso that got the better of Dominic Mysterio. It's a battle royal. It's like the same thing that I complain about. When it comes to these multi-man matches, it's the same shit over and over again. There was so much shit going on here. It's hard for me to focus on everything that's happening at the same time. But overall, it was still a really good battle royal, really good main event. Not so happy about the outcome, but the place was just so full of energy. I loved it.
The most interesting thing about this match to me was honestly the fact that there were people in this match that had already competed tonight. Like Dominic Mysterio in the opener for one, and AJ in the opener, sorry, and I think the second match of the night. And AJ, who had already just won tag gold earlier in the evening, now has an opportunity to win world championship gold at Saturday night's main event. I was like, yeah, making this man pull double duty, he's probably still friggin' tired. How's this even fair, The battle royal is battle royal. Over the top. You get the same thing. Everybody holds their breath and stays in corners until it's time for them to get eliminated. You get a couple of cool spots, usually, a couple of near eliminations, generally. I think the interesting parts about this match are really going to be more on the Usos, where Jey is almost eliminated 2 times or 3 times, and he's saved by Jimmy every single time. For him to turn around and then betray Jimmy, because here's the thing. You said he may or may not have been an accident. It was full-blown on purpose, because from the angle we see on TV, because they're facing hard cam, you see you see LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. First off, LA almost goes over, hangs on, hooks on to Jimmy, drags Jimmy with him. They're hanging. You see Jey stop at the ropes opposite from them on the other side of the ring and stare at both of them hung over. Kind of twitches for a second, and then man goes, dang, man, and he just runs and dumps them both over. He was conflicted about doing it. It was 100% intentional. And what followed that was after he's eliminated, you see like the match is over after it's over, like Jimmy is walking out, like staring back in at Jey at the ring, like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Why would you, I'm your brother, man. Why would you do that? It could have been me and you. And he's like, I saved you. I saved your ass 3 times. And Jey is trying to sit there and go, man, what am I supposed to do? Only one of us, man. Only one of us. It's just me. It's me, Oos. And it's just like, damn. Like, people are angry that Jey won, but it serves the story they've been telling about him, that he has to become selfish and start thinking about himself, even if that means screwing over his own brother. If he wants to get back and prove that he belongs at the top of the mountain, the thing about being the king of the hill, no one ever becomes king of the hill without kicking everybody else down the hill. So he had to do what he had to do. Would I have preferred it be LA Knight? Yeah, I would have. Because I still think there's a really great story to tell between LA and Punk that's been going on for a couple weeks. But I'm going to save my predictions for next week. However, I don't think CM Punk or Jay I don't think either of them are walking out as Saturday Night's main event champion. But that being said, I will say that LA's chance is still to come, because whoever becomes champion, LA will get another shot. But I thought this was a good main event as far as battle royals go. But yeah, I don't hate that Jay won. I just would have loved to have seen LA more.
Poor Jimmy Uso, man. He's constantly looking in on the main event. Before Jay and Punk, there was Jay and Roman Reigns. So, yeah, poor Jimmy. He's constantly looking in on the main event, always involving his twin. Now, both of you brought up how much hate this ending got. I have the YouTube stats right here. Earlier today, a picture was posted of the like to dislike ratio for the clip of Jey Uso winning the Battle Royal. This was back when the video itself was at 345,250 views. You had 9,223 likes. Meanwhile, on the dislike end, 19,398. So it is very clear that people really disliked this ending. And I talked to BT about it after the match had ended. And there is something that he said that stuck with me. LA Knight was right there. Once again, they refused to pull the trigger on making this man world champion like he deserves to be. It is very clear that LA Knight absolutely deserves to be world champion and be up there. But unfortunately, every time he gets the shot, he gets screwed over in one way or another. I personally like the fact that Jey Uso is there, because now we've got two former world champions. You've got Jey Uso, who has actively had a long reign, and then you've got CM Punk, who had like a 5-minute reign due to a cash-in. So obviously, Punk is still going to have that rage in him from being right there, holding the gold in his hand, only to be cashed in on 5 minutes later after the most gruesome match that he's had yet. And when it comes to people pulling double duty, there were entire matches held within this one match. Because you had JD McDonough, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, AJ Styles, Dragon Lee, and Rusev. All of them who had had matches earlier on in the night.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Well said, Tommy. There was a lot of matchups in this Battle Royal that I got to see for the first time that I wasn't even thinking of. And the one that stood out to me the most that I would really like to see a program out of was El Grande Americano versus Sheamus. That's a program I would like to see. So that's one good thing about getting these Battle Royals is you see people get mixed up that you would never think of, you know? But yeah, overall, man, it was one hell of a show. I'm glad I went. Yeah, Monday Night Raw continues to be the better show of the two from WWE compared to SmackDown. So we'll see what happens on Friday with SmackDown. Hopefully they bring up the heat. And let's get out of here, Blood.
That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Snug Wrestling. Thanks for kicking it with us. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Don't forget, we're live every Monday and Friday night after Raw and SmackDown go off the air on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and Facebook for live post-show reviews. And as a bonus for reaction content during the weekly WWE broadcasts on all of our social media. Then hang out with us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific on TikTok Live, where myself, Mr. Blood, and the leader of Snug Wrestling, that handsome Mexican over there, Edgar, do our weekly one-on-ones where we dive into random wrestling topics and answer your fan questions live. So follow Snug Wrestling on all social media platforms as well as on Apple and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And mark your calendars, folks. Wednesday, October 29th is predictions for Saturday night's main event taking place on Saturday, November 1st. That will be next week on Wednesday, October 29th. So until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. And that was one time, for the one time. That was
Four letters.
Four letters. One
word.
Yeet.
Yeet.